We stuck to our side, and they to theirs. But there are few rules or unwritten laws that are not broken when circumstances demand, and few distances that are too great to be travelled. Such was the case on our street, and I was to play an important part, unwittingly, in what happened. It started on a summer evening, when I was about 4, perhaps a bit younger, but old enough certainly to be able to get involved in the drama that began that night. Chapter 1. It was one of those rare summer evenings when it did not rain, and the smoke cleared from the atmosphere, leaving the sky a deep blue colour and the air soft and fresh and balmy. It was the kind of evening when people brought their stiff-backed wooden kitchen chairs out to the front to sit and smoke, and perhaps listen to the Foreshaw's gramophone. They were the only people on our street who had a gramophone, and they left their door open so that everybody could hear. In the meantime, the sun would sink, a huge red ball behind the square brick tower of the India Mill. After it disappeared, there would be fiery streaks in the sky, and these would fade gradually, and the sky would become very pale, and twilight would fall gently over the street, and you would see the glow of pipes or cigarettes along both sides. We had finished our tea, and my 2 sisters had quickly disappeared, before my mother could get them to clear the table and wash up, and my 2 brothers were about to do the same. Having gulped down the last of their tea and still chewing their bread and butter, they were halfway out to join their friends in the street, when my mother stopped them. "Take Harry with you," she said. They stared at her in astonishment, not believing what they had heard. Well, I too was surprised, but my surprise was a pleasant one. Until now, I'd been the baby of the family, too young to be able to go out and play with them, though I'd always wanted to and had watched them going out with silent yearning. But now, suddenly, all this was changed. I looked up at them, my finger in my mouth, waiting hopefully for my fate to be decided. "Him," said Joe. He was the oldest of the 3 boys, big for his 9 years, a handsome boy too. He spoke as if he couldn't believe what he had heard. "Him," he repeated. "He's only a baby," screeched Saul in his high-pitched voice. Saul was a bare 1.5 years older than I, but considered himself my senior by far. "He's not a baby any more," my mother said firmly. "He's old enough now to go out and play with you and the other boys." "But he'll get in the way," they both wailed. "He doesn't know how to play." "He'll soon learn," my mother insisted. "I don't want him to stay inside on a nice night like this, and I've got a lot of work to do in the house, otherwise I'd take him out myself. Go on now, take him with you, and mind you keep an eye on him, and don't let him wander off by himself." They had no choice, and each of them took a hand savagely, bitterly, and pulled me out with them. But once outside, and once they caught sight of the other Jewish lads from our side a little distance off, they dropped my hands and rushed towards them, forgetting all about me and ignoring my mother's warning completely. I trotted after them, and that was about all I was able to do throughout the evening. I was not able to participate in any of the games they played. I simply hung on at the fringe of the group, but I was ecstatic at having that much, at simply being allowed to be with them, and I shouted when they shouted, jumped up when they jumped, imitated all their sounds and movements. I forget the games that were played that night, but the locale was constantly being shifted from one part of the street to another. We drifted down to the bottom, then back up, and eventually we landed at the very top, at the corner in front of the Harris's house, where they began a noisy game of hopscotch. This one I do recall, and also that it had grown darker. Twilight would linger for a long time yet, until almost midnight, but it had reached the stage where the 2 sides of the street were becoming hidden in shadow, and the glow of pipes and cigarettes stood out strongly. The sky looked almost white in contrast to the earth, and the outlines of roofs and chimneys were etched sharply against it. We could barely see the chalk marks that had been scribbled on the pavement, but that made no difference, and the players hopped madly from square to square, screaming and shouting to one another. In that moment of our midsummer night's madness, we had failed to see the 2 people who were seated outside, a little way off to the right on the other side of the doorway. These were the 2 Harrises. Old Mr. Harris, who could not have been much more than 40, a squat, heavy, bearded man wearing a bowler hat, beneath which was a yarmulke, squinting down at a Jewish newspaper in the fading light, and old Mrs. Harris.